there was some big injury news yesterday, so I think we'll start with the negatives. That it's been reported that Martin Odegaard will be out until mid-November with his knee injury. I think after the next international break, the third international break of the season already. So I think he'll miss, 9 matches in total for club and country, 7 Arsenal games. Of course, it's a difficult one because this is a third injury of the season. Of course, there was that history-making sub in the West Ham game, so it's a big blow for him. It's a big blow for Arsenal, but at the same time, could you argue that maybe it's a positive that he'll just have a few weeks to completely rest and recover from all of these niggles that he's had?
Yeah, I'm not looking at it as a massive blow. It's interesting. I've seen sort of different headlines from different outlets reporting this, saying, some saying it's a blow, some saying it's a boost. And I'm kind of somewhere in between, I think. I don't look at it as a massive blow. I think it's kind of best case scenario. When it happened, the immediate sort of reaction afterwards, him in a knee brace, you start to think pretty sort of serious layoff. For it just to be until after the international break, I don't think it's the worst thing. I mean, basically, you're looking at missing 4 Premier League games. If that timescale proves correct, you're missing 4 Premier League games, and they're against Fulham, Palace, Burnley, and Sunderland. Obviously, they're all difficult games. Any games are in the Premier League, but it's not the worst possible outcome from this. And I think he'll be pretty relieved as well. He doesn't have to have surgery. It's just another few weeks. We've had this international break and we've got another international break. So, it could have been a lot worse. He could have missed more games. He could have missed tougher games. And as you said, it sort of gives him a little bit of time to really reset now, get fully fit, everything healed, and come back and hopefully hit the ground running once this latest injury is out the way. So, yeah, I have to say, I'm not. I wish he was fit. I wish he was playing this weekend, obviously, but I'm not distraught at the news. I'm kind of more relieved at the news, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, of course, there is like no good time for a player to get injured. But like you say, I mean, the biggest game he'll miss will be this Atletico Madrid tie in the Champions League. And if all goes to plan, he will be back for the North London derby and
Mm.
also Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So I guess, yeah, like I say, there is no good time to get injured. But is this possibly the best time for him to get injured if there is going to be any time?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I just think the fixture list is not the worst. It could have been. It could have been a hell of a lot worse than it is. So again, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, this timescale proves correct. Hopefully, he doesn't have any setbacks as it during his recovery and all that sort of stuff. So, but if he is back after the next international break in time for the North London derby, then it's not nightmare scenario for Arsenal. And they're very well protected. You've got loads of options. You can still play in that position as well. It's been the story of the season so far for Arsenal as well, missing key players, being able to cover for those absences and still picking up results. So it's just going to be another bit of a test for the squad, but the squad is in really good shape. It's really strong. Arteta's got plenty of options to use. And, so yeah, it's not the worst outcome.
Certainly not. Yeah, and those options you spoke about. I mean, we've spoken about the replacements for him pretty much after every injury that he's had this season. But now there'll be a sustained run in the first team for maybe there are maybe like 2 or 3 replacements for him. Of course, we've seen Mikel Merino, who I don't think we want to see much of again in that role. But I look at Eberechi Eze as the main one because, of course, we've seen glimpses of what he can do in those central areas against the likes of Man City and Newcastle. I mean, if say, I'm not sure he's going to start every single game from now until when Odegaard comes back, but how big are these next few weeks going to be for Eze if he does start loads of games? Because, like I say, we've seen bits and pieces of what he can do, but he's not really found his place in the Arsenal team yet or really shown what he is fully capable of. So, yeah, how big are these weeks going to be for Eberechi Eze?
I think they are big, yeah. I think he's done fine since he's arrived. Obviously, he's got. You look at his numbers; they're not bad. He's contributing goals and assists. Well, one goal, but assists. He's heavily involved in games when he does play. He was really, really good. I thought in that first half against Newcastle, especially at St James's Park. He caused problems in the game against West Ham before the international break. Could have scored a couple of goals in that game, so he's getting himself some decent positions. But this is a good opportunity for him for now, sort of really sort of stand up and say, look, I can play in this central area. I can take control of games like Martin Odegaard can. I can be the heartbeat of this team like Martin Odegaard is when he's playing. So it's a big opportunity for him. I think Ethan Nwaneri as well is going to come into the equation a lot in this period, because there's going to be a lot of games now in this period between the two international breaks. Arsenal got Champions League, they've got League Cup, they've got the Premier League. So, Ezra's not going to be able to play all of those games, and Ethan's going to need to step up as well at times. And again, this is the position Mikel Arteta's in. He's got options. This time last year or the season before Martin Odegaard gets injured, it's like, oh my God, what are Arsenal going to do? Who are they going to play? Where are they going to find that creative spark? They don't have that issue this time around. So they're in a good position. But you want those players to really sort of stand up now. And this is their opportunity to do it, especially as, like you said, he's done well since he's arrived. But I don't think he's been the guy yet in any of the games, has he? He's been a part of the machine, which is great. But this is an opportunity, I think, to sort of really emerge from that and take some games by the grasp of the neck and really, really show who he is and that he's part of this Arsenal team. So it's a big opportunity for him.
Yes, and you mentioned Ethan Nwaneri there as well, of course. He's still not started one Premier League game yet this season, but he's had, excuse me, a positive international break. I think it was against Moldova, I want to say, for the under-21s in England. He
Yeah.
got 2 assists and helped also win a penalty in that game. So, maybe sent a bit of a selection message in that one. So, of course, like you suggested, he now has to come into the equation. He's now got to start games in the Premier League, surely.
Well, you'd think so. I think Ezra's going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. I think we've seen signs from Mikel that he's really ready to use Ezra in that central area. So I think he'll be number one pick. I'd imagine he'll start at Craven Cottage, but there is going to be opportunities for Nwaneri, even if that sort of extended period off the bench in Premier League games, maybe the odd start, but certainly, there's Champions League next week as well, isn't there? Is Mikel going to play as all 3 games? Probably not. I think Ethan will probably start one of them, or he'll be hoping he's going to start one of them. He was good in this international break. I think that key thing of that Moldova game as well, because when you look at Ethan, I think a lot of people look at him and think he's more of a shooter than a creator. He's more of a goal getter than a creative force. But then you look at that Moldova game and you watch it. Obviously, you've got to take opposition into account and all that sort of stuff. But he showed he can create in that game, and he does have an eye for a pass. He can split the lines of a pass. And I think that's what he's going to need to do more of in this Arsenal team when he does play in that role. It's not just about getting on your left foot and curling it into the far corner. As spectacular as that is, it's great, obviously, a weapon to have in your arsenal, but you need to have a little bit more than that if you're going to be stepping into Martin Odegaard's shoes. And I do think he can do it. And I think that's what Mikel Arteta will be looking for more from him as the season progresses. So I think this is a good opportunity again for him, because I do think we'll see some decent amount of minutes for him in this period up until the next international break.